Yeah, that's so wild. And as it progressed, was there a time where you were like, "Hey, this is not a fluke. Like I'm the best I've ever been." Was there? And I guess when was that? Because I'm sure there had to be a moment where you're like, "Okay, this is for real, and I am, the fittest I've ever been." Was it a specific event? I know the run event. You surprised yourself. I
Yeah.
think you got third on the 5K, right? Which you're like, you know what I
Right.
mean? And then the lift, you hit 231. That was a cool story with your husband telling you to go up 5 more pounds.
Yeah.
Was there a
I love
specific
that.
moment in the weekend where you kind of it changed your outlook and you said, "This is for real. I can really make a run at this podium"?
Yeah, there were two specific events mentally. The first one was my cardio game going into Helena, which was event 6, was the 400-meter run, bar muscle ups, dumbbell snatch. Everyone in the field can run a 400, do 12 bar muscle ups, dumbbell snatch 35 pounds. So this was the event where I was like, we're all fit. I've been working on my fitness. I hope I can get top 10 in this event. And that was the one where I led the event and almost won the final heat, but I got past at the end. That gave me a big boost of physical confidence of like, okay, my fitness is there. I have been working hard. Here's the proof. I can handle this. Like, give me 2 more days. I can hang with these people. And then the clean and snatch event that you mentioned was the big realization that if any event was going to knock me off the podium, it was going to be this one. And I hit the exact numbers I wanted and I did good. Like, I was competitive. That was the moment I realized I can push through cardio days. Like, I can handle tomorrow. They've already thrown the strength event. That was the one that was supposed to derail me and it didn't. Like, I can hang on to this. Let's fight tomorrow.
By the way, like that, the fact that they only gave you guys 2 attempts, like, first of all,
Yeah.
I'll just put this out. I don't know what the heck they were thinking. Like, that's
No.
just that. I mean, you got your warm up. It puts way too much pressure on you guys. Maybe that was the point. But for an event that's
Right.
supposed to be kind of the spectacle where guys hit PRs and like it's in the Coliseum, give them 3 or 4. Like that way, there's a little margin for error because you're probably back there in the warm up area. Like, all right, there is zero margin for error
Yeah.
here. That's a difference between like a 5th place and a 30th place. If you
Yeah.
miss the second bar, right? And someone, so I was kind of bummed when they released that, but it's so cool that you were able to just lock in, and the fact that you were willing to take a little bit of a risk, even though you only had 2 attempts. And of course, it worked out. You went 4 for 4, which is huge.
It is huge. And usually at CrossFit events like this, you get a 3. So you get a safe number, a medium number, and a PR number. So they took away one of those opportunities. So there was so much thinking for that event. It was also extremely stressful. It was, do I go safe, moderate, or do I go moderate PR, potentially miss your PR, so then you're stuck with your moderate? A lot of thinking. I also went second to last. So for 4 minutes, I just sit there and wait. And you're like, okay, I haven't lifted a barbell in about 20 minutes now. Can I snatch 191 cold, adrenaline crazy? So much mental went into that. When I stepped off the floor, there was just like a brick had been lifted off my chest of, oh, I can breathe.
I can't imagine. The warm up area was probably just a mess. People, because you got to share barbells and you got to swap weights and you're
Yep.
trying to hit your numbers,
Well,
and then it's time to go. And I've been there. I know how it goes. It's not
yeah, you've been
enjoyable.
there.
Yeah.
They were very professional this year. I will say they gave each of us our own platform to warm up
Oh
on.
wow.
So we didn't have to deal with any of that, which I was extremely surprised. Because the last thing you want to do is with one of your competitors share a barbell. They're doing 5 pounds more than you, so they were very good with that. I didn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, I bet there's a little bit of maybe some gamesmanship
Yeah.
going on back there.
Yeah.
Moving big weight and making
Yeah.
sure you slam that weight
Yeah.
down, let people know. No,
Green peeping over to
yeah,
the side.
yeah. Definitely some peeking going on of what other
Yeah.
people are doing for their opening weight.
Yeah.
So I think when you in the last podcast you talked about how you had the realization going into the final event that unless you got like dead last, you knew you were going to podium, and you got a bit
Yeah.
emotional, it sounds like, and you kind of came to the realization that this is a real thing. This is not a fluke. You just walk us through that experience again. And did that give you extra energy on the floor that you kind of just like, all right, I'm just going to go out there and have a good time? And did that feel like it gave you a lift? And I guess just walk us through the emotions of all that.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So going into the final day, I was in 3rd place, and event 10 and event 11 had happened. And someone named Alex, you guys know Alex Kazea, she's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
She was behind me. She had beat me in those 2 events. So going into event 12, I was in a hallway with my husband and my best friend. And I don't like to look at the leaderboard because I'm just out there to do my best. If that's 10th place, 5th place, who cares? If I did my best, I'm proud. But going into the final event, they were like, Arielle, you need to know the leaderboard. Like, this is not just we're here for fun. Strategically, you have to know. And I was terrified to know the leaderboard because I knew Alex had beat me in the last two. She was coming for the podium. And I was like, I really don't want to have to mentally push hard on a bike and thruster event and hopefully be able to hold her off, just thinking all the insecurities like you mentioned. And am I fit enough? Am I strong enough to beat my friend? And my best friend looks at me, Jody, and she goes, you need to know you're 70 points up. You don't get last and you will podium. And in that moment, I just lost it. It was like every emotion I'd been keeping in. Am I fit enough? What is happening? I'm at the top in the final heat. I'm in third place. Just kind of hit me at once. And I was extremely emotional and relieved and thankful. And we got to hug and experience this really intimate moment backstage between events. And then when they had called us for event 12, all the emotions I was feeling, the insecurities, I got to cry out, hug out, be with my friends. And so when I went into the final event and it started, I was able to just have a posture of thankfulness because I knew I didn't have to sell my soul on this workout. I just had to do CrossFit. So it was fun to be on the bike, and the bike takes like a minute and a half. And I just get to look around at the Coliseum, find my friends at the finish mat, do my thrusters, still push uncomfortably because it's the last event. I don't want it to come down to 2 points. And so I look around, finish on top of the finishing mat at the end, and then just hug my sister, hug my husband. And it was interesting because I expected how I felt in the hallway, which was tears, emotions, crying. But when I finished, it was proud. Like, only I know how hard I worked in the gym this past year. I was proud to be able to stand there and say, I got third. All that you did in the dark paid off. Look where you are. And there weren't any tears. There wasn't any like wobbly chins. It was just proud. And like, I worked hard for this. Nobody can say they can take that away from you, but everybody gets to see how hard you worked in the gym. And I just got to enjoy the moment, enjoy standing on the podium, soak it in with my eyes. It was beautiful.
Have you been able to sink into that a little bit? And I asked because Bear and I on a previous podcast literally talked about how even in great successes within 24 hours or not even 24 hours, sometimes it's on to the next thing and you kind of forget about like, hey, take a moment and really realize what you just did. Have you now with some time in between that moment and now, have you been able to kind of sink into that and be proud of yourself and really look at what you just did and say like, damn, like that took, like you said, an undeniable amount of resilience and hard work.
Thank you. It's funny because it hits me in moments. So coming back from the games, I very much had an adrenaline crash Tuesday when I came home because I've never talked to so many people in my life. Like, I'm used to training at home in the garage, very quiet and in my own bubble. So Tuesday would crash, and then I'd have random moments where I'd get sent a picture from a photographer and it's me on the podium, and then it would hit me. And then I'd go back to my everyday life. Random moments would hit my husband. He'd call me and be like, I can't believe you're on the podium. We'd have like a little hug and cry, go back to everyday life. So it hits us in moments and spurts, but the games is very much its own bubble and alternate reality. It's very humbling to come back to Midland and like go to the grocery store. Nobody knows who I am at the grocery store. Take Blake to the gymnastics. They're like, oh, good job for your CrossFit competition. Like the totality of what the games is its own world. And then you come back to reality and it's not as prevalent, which is great because it's very humbling and helps me focus on what's important.
That's so funny because I bet most of them
Isn't it?
have absolutely no idea. They probably think it's some weekend comp down the street. And it's like, no, that was the most fit people on planet Earth throwing down for 5 days straight. Like they have no idea. But hey, that, like you said, that's part of it. It keeps you grounded. And
exactly.
like that's just a really cool, it is an alternate reality. Anyone that's gone, it's, we're a bunch of CrossFit dorks that love it. And then you get outside of that and it's the people that are like, yeah, I saw that crazy CrossFit stuff you guys do, but they have no idea.
No.
How cool was it to be able to put that American flag around your shoulders at the podium?
That was
in
the
particular,
best
like,
part.
Hearing you like talk about that in kind of other podcasts, so cool to hear. And particularly, I won't go too far on this, but it just in today's day and age to see American athletes that are really proud to throw that over their shoulder and say, hey, I'm proud to be American. I'm proud to represent my country and everything it stands for. And I just, walk me through that.
The coolest part is they don't provide an American flag at the games. And I am not confident or cocky. I did not show up with an American flag at the games. But after event 2, which was the pig flip, chest to bar, toes to bar workout, I took off my grips mid-workout. So I had to go to Lost and Found to try and find my grips. And in Lost and Found, day 1, event 2, in the right-hand corner of Lost and Found was a folded up, perfect triangle, looked like a veteran had folded it, American flag. And I remember me and my husband thinking, number 1, who loses an American flag? Number 2, why is it in Lost and Found? Why does it look so perfect? And we just kind of mental noted, oh, it's there. We do event 3, come back, it's still there. So my husband's like, hey, if you stand on the podium, we're grabbing that flag. That's what you're holding on the podium. Go throughout the weekend. Every time we come back to the expo center where Lost and Found is, we pass by the flag. Hasn't moved. Same beautiful triangle it's folded in. So the hallway moment between event 11 and 12, when we were super emotional and hugging, there was a moment that was really, it still is really hard for me, because my husband looked at me and he's like, I'm going to go get your American flag. So he goes to Lost and Found and it's still there. It's still folded up. And that's the exact flag I held on the podium. I don't know who put it there, who loses the flag, but to be able to say like, that was my flag. And I'm so proud to hold that as the only American on the podium. I would have been so upset if I didn't have a flag on the podium. And even to me, to a normal person, it looks like an American flag. But to me, when I look at it in pictures, I'm like, that is the most beautiful American flag I've ever seen. Like the blue is crisp, the red is crisp. It was huge. The flag story is perfect, and the flag I held was perfect, and I wouldn't have wanted to have it any other way.
That's so cool. And hopefully
Isn't that cool?
You're throwing that up on a frame and putting it and hanging it up in the house. And maybe whoever it was will come forward at some point and give us the backstory of that flag. Or maybe it was fate. It was meant for you, and that's how God had it play out,